Good afternoon, friends. Are you able to hear me out? Are you able to hear me out?
Yes, sir.
So there are only 6 people. I may require another 2 classes to complete your first unit of investment management. Okay. Some people are yet to join. Okay. Tomorrow I'll be taking a class on Zoom. Sorry, not on Zoom, but on Google Meet. Okay. Whatever we discussed, we tried out yesterday. So we'll try it out and we'll start the classes on Google Meet. Okay. From next class. That's from tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think there are 10 people. So we'll start.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday we discussed some of the aspects relating to what are the various avenues through which we can make an investment. So we discussed with shares initially. We then moved on discussion with the debt form of instruments. Debt is nothing but it's a type of a loan. So we discussed what are bonds, what are the various types of bonds that we have to understand. Then we moved on to debentures. We classified the debentures on various categories. We then moved on to insurance, mutual funds, money market instruments, and finally we ended our discussion with the derivatives. At the fag end of my yesterday's lecture, we also discussed what points need to be taken into consideration whenever you are investing your money as far as real estate is concerned. It could be commercial property, or it could be a residential property, or it also could be an open plot. So what title or what things that you have to take into consideration, we all discuss this. Uh, I'll just brief about it. We need to check the title of the property that is in question. As I told you, the loan available to purchase any real estate will not be 100%, but it will be somewhere in the range of 65 to 75%. So in that particular range, the banks will sanction the loan. there are some points that you need to understand, that how much should be the cost of the house. It shouldn't be that, just because you're getting a loan, that does not mean you have to purchase a house which is beyond your capacity to pay. So the monitor, or the point that you have to take into consideration is, you have to take a house which is somewhere in the range of 6 to 8 times of your annual gross income. That should be your salary. That should be the housing loan that you can take out. Next point that you have to take into consideration is, as far as EMI is concerned, that is equated monthly installment. Now, equated monthly installment should be less than 35% of your gross monthly income. Now, that point is very, very important for you to understand. It shouldn't happen that you are earning 30,000 and out of that 30,000 you are paying 15,000 as installment. So that means 50% of your income is going only into installments. How will you sustain with the remaining 15,000 rupees? That's a question mark, right? Next is, as I told you yesterday, whenever you or any of your relatives or friends are planning to buy any property, don't get fooled by the builders. The builders charge a very exorbitant rate because they tell you so many things. You should know what is the current rate going. The current rate that is going is around 1650 rupees per square feet is the construction cost. Even if you use premium material, the cost will go up to 1800 rupees, not more than that. Okay, so you need to take into consideration all these aspects and then find out appropriate property for yourself. Okay, and of course you get a tax benefit when you take a housing loan. You get a benefit for principal also, and you get a benefit for interest also. So this is what you need to take into consideration as far as the real estate is concerned. Okay, we move on to the next part. We have to understand something in detail about the mutual funds. Okay, now I think Prayak sir will also talk about mutual funds, but here I have to discuss it because it is a part of your syllabus. Now, what happens in a mutual fund, or how does a mutual fund work, is what I'm going to explain to you in this particular diagram. Now, understand one thing, that you know uh, the concept of investment is the base of earning some higher income or earning some higher return. Now, in due course of time, it may so happen that you may not be able to give that much of time, energy, and dedication to manage that particular money. So what do? You appoint a person, okay? You appoint a person who is an expert in that, and you give that particular money to him. So the blue color circle that you can see on the screen, that is nothing but an investor. He could be you, he could be me, or he could be anyone in that particular classroom or in this particular campus also. Now, we are not experts because we don't have time to sit in front of the system day in and day out and monitor the activities as to what is exactly happening with the macroeconomic levels and the stock market. But there are some people who are specially designed or who take up a career only to do this. Okay, what do? They specialize in that particular field, and then they are able to predict in which direction the market is likely to move. Right? So what do? We give our money to these particular people. And it is just not I am giving money. People like me, many people are giving their money to that particular person, and as a result, it becomes a pool, okay, or it becomes a fund, right? Now, this particular fund is managed by an expert, and that expert is called as an asset management company, or it's also called as AMC. In other words, it is a mutual fund. Now, to give you some example, you have something called as Aditya Birla Mutual Fund, Kotak Mutual Fund, HDFC Mutual Fund, SBI Fund. So all these are nothing but asset management companies. They take money from people who are desirous of earning more income than keeping their money in the bank. So they collect money from such people. They make a pool of this particular money, invest this particular money into stock markets. Okay, they will generate return over a period of time. A part of the return is retained by them as their profits or and operating cost, and majority of the return is transferred back to the investor. So this is how a mutual fund actually works out. That's the reason whenever you invest into mutual fund, they say 3 years lock-in period. Why do they say 3 years lock-in period? Is because once you invest your money into a mutual fund, it requires time to grow, right? And whenever it requires time to grow, it takes around 2.5 to 3 years to go. That is the reason they say you cannot withdraw your money before 3 years. After 3 years, you are free to withdraw. If you want still the money to grow, grow up or get higher returns, you have to keep the money for a substantial period of time, right? So that is the base. This is how the basis of mutual fund actually works out. Any doubts in this? If there are no doubts, we'll proceed with the next slide. Any doubts with this? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
No doubt, sir.
Okay, no doubts. Fine. Now, these are some of the mutual funds that I have listed it. Of course, this is last year's return. This year's returns are not good because of COVID and other things. So I have not mentioned the returns. This is last year's returns that I've taken into consideration. Now, just look at the name of this particular fund. These are called as large cap mutual funds. That means the money that you have invested will be invested into those companies who have a large market capitalization. Now, what is market capitalization? We'll see it later. But these are some premium companies like Reliance Industries. They are companies like Hindustan Petroleum Corporation, L&T, TCS, Infosys, HDFC Bank. So these are some big companies that have established themselves in India from very long time. Okay, and as a result, they are capable of sustaining into any environment, and that's the reason they have a large market capitalization. So the money that is invested in these companies will be called as a large cap investment avenue. Now, which are the companies, top companies who invest your money into such companies like L&T, HDFC, who have large cap companies? Which are those asset management companies who invested? So you have some around 5 names that I've mentioned here. So Kotak, the name of that fund is called Kotak Select Focus Fund. Next is Invesco Dynamic Equity Fund, Reliance Top 200 Fund, HDFC Growth Fund, and SBI Blue Chip Fund. If you look at the returns that are generated, okay, from these investment avenues, on an average, they are around 12% and above. If you keep the same money in a fixed deposit in a bank, you will not earn more than 7.5%, right? So if you have a choice, either you invest your money into fixed deposit, earn only 7.5% per annum, or invest your money into mutual funds, large cap mutual fund, and earn around 15% or 13%, or somewhere in the range of 13 to 15% over the next 3 years. Choice is yours. Okay, so these returns are much better. Okay, not only that, they declare bonuses, they declare dividends. All these things also keeps on happening as far as a mutual fund is concerned. So these are top 5 funds as far as 2019 is concerned. They have invested their money into large cap, and as a result, they have got these amount of returns. Okay, next. Then we have small cap and mid cap, companies that invest into small companies, not that big enough, which can be categorized as large cap companies, not very small companies also who will die in a certain period of time. But these are medium size companies or average size companies. Okay, so if you invest your money in these companies, there is a high chance of that your money will grow. Now, the question is, if you invest your money into large cap companies, you will earn somewhere in the range of 15%, somewhere in the range of 13% to 15%. On the other hand, if you invest your money into small and mid cap schemes, okay, you are earning more. But understand one thing, when we are talking about returns, if you are expecting higher returns, you should be able to take higher risk also. So if your expectation is to I want to earn a higher rate of return, that means you should be ready to take some amount of risk. In other words, today you are seeing this return of 26%, 24%, somewhere in the range of 20+%. But if things are not good, these returns will fall down drastically. The same companies, please check online, the same companies that I've mentioned here, check their returns today, their returns are drastically down. Why? Because they are very, very sensitive to the market. And the more sensitive you are to the market, the more chance is that you are likely to fall down. Okay, that's the reason these are called as small and mid cap schemes. So one of the top companies that is performing as far as small and mid cap schemes is concerned is the name is L&T, Emerging Business Fund. Okay, then we have Reliance Small Cap Fund, HDFC Small Cap, Aditya Birla Small and Mid Cap, Mirage, Frontline Blue Chip Investment Fund. So basically, these are companies who invest your money into small and medium enterprises. Now, understand one thing: small and medium enterprises have the high potential to grow, also have a very high potential to come down, to fall down also. So you have to understand what is your risk capacity, how much can you tolerate making a loss, and depending on that, you can enter into that particular market. Next, we have diversified equity schemes. Now, what do you mean by diversified? Diversified is nothing but they invest a part of your money into large cap funds, they invest a part of your money into small cap funds. So this is called what we call as the diversified equity schemes, right? So there are some companies here that I have mentioned here. They are giving a moderate amount of return. It is suggested that you enter into this scheme first, because a part of your money goes into large cap, a part of your money goes into a small cap, small and medium fund also. So you earn a handsome income by taking a moderate level of risk. Understand? Taking a moderate level of risk is much better than taking a high level of risk and anticipating high returns. So this is the ideal investment avenue for any youngsters is concerned, or any beginner is concerned. Clear? So this is what I had to say as far as the mutual funds are concerned. Next, I did mention to you about the insurance. These are some of the best insurance plans that are available in India as of now. Okay, so I've just considered my age as 35, and I've given you what could be the annual premium that is expected to pay, and accordingly it is a term insurance. That means term insurance means uh, suppose tomorrow something goes wrong with me. Suppose if I die, the money will come back to my uh, the money will come back to my children, my money will come back to my mother, the money will come back to my wife. But if I don't die in that particular time frame, then what will happen? The money is gone. See, it's something like, you have your two-wheeler. For two-wheeler you pay your insurance, right? If you don't meet with an accident in that particular year, can you expect the insurance company to pay back that money? It is never going to happen. The money is gone. That is the reason, by paying a small amount of money, you are ensuring yourself against a major loss that could be expected. So these are some of the best insurance companies that are available in India. Okay, and also some of the best insurance policy names also I have mentioned. Generally, if you observe, the tenure is around 30 years. Okay, the longer you take, the better it is. Clear? Any doubts in this? Of course, I am not stressing more on insurance this time, is because in your next semester you have to study only insurance and insurance products, right? So that is the reason we'll not focus much on insurance in this particular session. Still, if you have any doubts in understanding the concept of insurance and aspects related to insurance, please let me know. I can very well clarify it.
Sir, what is sum assured?
Sum assured is nothing but, say for example, uh, Narayan, you have asked me this question, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Narayan, what's your age?
22, sir.
Okay. How long do you expect you will be alive?
I don't know, sir.
30
65,
years?
70, sir.
Up to the age of at least 70 you will be alive?
Yes, sir.
Or you hope that you will be alive till the age of 70 years?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, in these 70 years, so your term is around 40 years now, 22 and say 20, and somewhere around 45 years is the term of your insurance. Now, in this 45 years, you are supposed to pay a certain sum of money to the insurance company. And the insurance company says that in the next 45 years from today, if something goes wrong with you, in the sense if you die, okay, a fixed sum of money will be paid to your legal heirs on account of your death. That means tomorrow if you die, their income should not be hampered. They should get their regular income, and that is the reason the sum that is given to the your legal heirs by the insurance company is called sum assured. That means come what may, that is the amount of money that will be paid to your legal heirs. If you sustain
Okay, sir.
above 70 years, if nothing happens to you till the age of 70 years, okay, if you sustain 70 years, then the money will never come back to you, because you lived that tenure, right? If you die at the 71st year or at the age of 72, you will not get anything. So if you want this money to be given, you should die. That is the whole logic about it. Getting
Okay,
it?
sir.
So sum
Yes,
assured
sir.
is nothing but money paid to your legal heirs on account of your death. That is what we call as sum assured. That means this is a sure sum of money that is going to be paid to your legal heirs. That is what we call as sum assured.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? So there is a very famous saying of insurance. It says insurance is a contract wherein you are made poor throughout your life so that you can die rich. It's very simple, because every year you have to pay a premium, so it is making you poor by that particular amount. And why do you pay this particular amount? So that you can die rich. That is the whole concept of insurance. And one of the major conditions of term insurance is nothing but you have to die. Only if you die the money will come. If you don't die, the money will never come to you. That is the hidden agenda of term insurance. Clear? Okay, next thing is we are going to discuss a very important concept called as warrants. Okay, now before I discuss what is a warrant, how does the warrant work, I want you to go through this particular slide quickly. I'll just give you a minute, and once you go through this particular document or this particular slide, I will explain to you how warrants work, what is a warrant, and how do warrants actually work. Please go through this particular slide. Ashwini, can you mute your microphone, please? Okay, so we'll discuss what is a warrant. Okay, warrant means it's an order, right? All of you have heard the name warrant in some different ways. You might have heard the name warrant when police comes to your house, or when the police comes and tries to get some information. So they have a warrant. Now, what is a warrant? It's an order. Okay, it's an order to do something. That is what we call as an order. But of course, we'll not go into the main details. This was a rough example that I told you. Main aspect of what is a warrant as far as investment is concerned is it is a document. It's a bearer document. That means whoever has that particular paper in his hand, he becomes the owner of it. Say for example, suppose you have a 100 rupees note in your pocket, right? Is there any proof that tells you that you are the owner of that particular 100 rupees? Is your name mentioned on that particular 100 rupees note? Is your address mentioned on that particular 100 rupees note? There is nothing such mentioned. So whoever owns that particular note becomes the legal owner of that particular note. Tomorrow, if Narayan has a 100 rupees note in his pocket and he gives this 100 rupees note to me, the moment he gives this 100 rupees note to me, I become the owner of that particular 100 rupees note. Why? Because it is a bearer document. In other words, whoever has it is the owner of that particular document. On similar basis, a warrant is a document, is a bearer document, which entitles you to buy a specified number of shares, okay, at a specified price. Now, whatever be the price of that particular share in the market, if the warrant clearly says that I have the right to buy the shares of TCS for 1000 rupees, okay, and I can buy this particular share in multiples of 100, nobody can stop me. Why? Because I have the warrant to do so. Today, the price of TCS shares in the market is somewhere in the range of 2200 above. But since I have the warrant in my hand, and the warrant clearly says that I have the right to buy this particular shares for just 1000 rupees per share, and I can buy any number of shares in multiples of 100, that becomes a warrant. And one of the other advantages, I can exercise this particular warrant over n number of years. So it is not just that I have exercised the warrant for one time, that means the life of the warrant is over. It is not like that. I can exercise this particular warrant n number of times, okay, as long as I am ready to pay money of 1000 rupees for that particular share. That is what we call as a warrant. And warrants are very much necessary because it gives liquidity in the market. Okay, it brings more money into the market. It brings more attractiveness into the market. It motivates people to buy those particular securities or shares, and that's the reason warrants are considered important aspects of the investment avenues. Now, likewise, there are some advantages. One is warrants, non-convertible debentures become more attractive for investment. That is one of the advantages of warrants. Okay, warrants create markets for debentures. Okay, they reduce the cost. I think you have studied what is cost of capital and cost of debt, right, in your second semester. I think Prag sir might have told you what is cost of debt, what is cost of equity, what is weighted cost of capital. All these things I think Prag sir might have discussed with you.
Yes, sir. In financial management, we learned.
Yes. So what happens is when you have warrants in your basket of investment, your borrowing cost will come down. That means your KD gets reduced, cost of debt gets reduced. So that is one of the crucial advantage is it reduces your borrowing cost. Okay, and also it brings in liquidity into system. It is a very important tool to restructure, to reframe the capital of the company, and also it creates a market for itself. Warrants create a market for themselves, and these are some of the advantages of how warrants play an essential role as far as any investment avenue is concerned. Clear? Any doubts with warrants? Because warrants are something new which you have not heard of it. That's the reason I'm asking you. Any doubts as far as warrants are concerned?
No, sir.
Okay, I would like to hear from other people also.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Now, this is a very common question that has been asked in exam. What is the difference between warrant and a share certificate? Okay, so just go through this. What do you mean by warrant and what do you mean by share certificate? I'll explain to you only if it is required. Otherwise, just it's a plain difference. I'll just give you 2 minutes. Just go through it. If you're not able to understand it, do let me know. I will explain to you. By the way, can you tell me what do you mean by AOA as far as second point is concerned?
Articles of Association.
Yes, AOA stands for Articles of Association. And what is MOA?
Memorandum of Association.
It's Memorandum of Association. Who prepares it? Who prepares MOA and AOA?
The promoters of the company.
The promoters,
They're in the Companies Act.
the promoters of the company prepare it. Why do they prepare it? Or why is it required? It is required to
It's like a policies and regulations of the organization.
it defines the scope of that particular business. It defines the outline or the boundary of that particular business in terms of the nature of business, in terms of money, how the money is going to flow in terms of ownership of that company, in terms of revenue generation model. All these things are clearly mentioned in the Articles of Association and Memorandum of Association, right? Can Articles of Association be changed?
Yes, sir. By passing resolution in the meeting.
Okay, what resolution is it?
So special resolution maybe.
No, not special. It has to be changed in the board meeting.
Yes, sir.
To change Memorandum of Association, you require a special, you require a special session through which Memorandum of Association can be changed, and a copy of the Memorandum of Association has to reach, okay, Ministry of Corporate Affairs or the Company Law Tribunal. They have to. It has to go to those particular people, right? Okay. Go through the next point. Okay, any doubts up to this?
So the last point says both are negotiable instruments.
Yeah, both are negotiable because see, when a warrant is a bearer instrument, it is definitely negotiable, right? You can trade
Yes,
it.
sir.
And share is also negotiable because you trade in the stock market.
Yes, sir. So, but we can't mention it in difference, right?
It's a similarity. You can't mention it as a difference, right? But it is a similarity.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, any doubts up to this point?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Now, this is another question that has frequently come in the exams. What are security and non-security form of investments, right? So, security form of investments are basically categorized under two heads. First one, we have the money market instruments, and second, we have the capital market instruments or the capital market securities. So, under money market securities, we have T-bill stands for treasury bill, certificate of deposits, and government securities. So, these are basically securities which are short term, safe, and give a very low return as far as investment is concerned. Okay, so that is what you need to take into consideration. On the other hand, if you want to gain more return, you should be ready to take more risk, and for that you have to wait for a considerable period of time. Those can be categorized as capital market securities. So we have equity shares, we have preference shares, and we have debentures. Okay, so basically uh, these investment avenues that are there, they would be called as security form of security form of investments. On the other hand, okay, on the other hand, you have something called as non-security form of investments, something like bank deposits. Can you transfer bank deposits? Can you trade in bank deposits? Suppose, Rashmi, you have a deposit, fixed deposit of 50,000 rupees. Can you take this receipt of fixed deposit, go to the market and sell it?
No, sir.
So it does not have liquidity, and because it does not have liquidity, it will be termed as a non-security form of investment. Likewise, post saving schemes, right? Postal saving schemes, you have that document with you. Can you go and trade it in the market? You cannot trade it because it is a non-form of security. And likewise, we have insurance also. Same is the case with mutual funds, and same is the case with some of these schemes of NBFCs. What do you mean by NBFCs? NBFC stands for non-banking financial companies. I'll give you an example of it. Uh, if you can remember names like Muthoot Finance, Bajaj Finance, okay, then you have Cholamandalam Finance, okay. So all these are Mahindra and Mahindra Finance. So all these are nothing but they can be categorized as non-banking financial companies. They do all activities that are done by the bank, but they are not banks. I repeat, they do almost all activities that a bank does, but they are not banks, and that's the reason they are categorized as non-banking financial companies. Are you able to understand it? So we have security form of investment, and then we have non-security form of investment. Security form of investment is you can trade on those particular investments. There is a ready market available. Tomorrow, if you want to go and sell this particular investment, there's a market available. You can easily sell the treasury bill. You can easily sell certificate of deposits. You can easily sell government securities because there is money market available. Likewise, if you want to immediately get rid of the shares, if you want to immediately get rid of debentures, there is a stock market available for it. You can easily trade it. But there is no market available to trade bank deposits, postal deposit schemes, insurance products, mutual fund units, and also some of the schemes of NBFC. So there is no market available, and that is the reason they can be categorized as non-security form of investments. Clear? Okay. Don't get
Yes, sir.
don't get confused by all this. Okay, this is a slide only for your reference. It has nothing to do with your syllabus. It just tells you, that uh, as far as equity share is concerned, what happens if you invest for a short duration, the yield is very very low. But if you keep it for a high for a longer duration, the yield is definitely higher. There is more capital appreciation that is going to happen as far as equity share is concerned. But there is also a high risk that is involved. Okay, marketability is fairly high because there is a stock market which is available, so you can easily go and sell off or get rid of your shares, get the money. Okay, there is no tax benefit, so you have to end up paying high tax. If you get a high capital appreciation, you have to end up paying high tax. and it is very convenience is very high because there is a ready market available, so it is very easy to convert your shares into money. Likewise, we have non-convertible debentures, we have equity schemes of mutual funds, debt schemes of mutual funds, and we also have bank deposits. Okay, so if you keep your money in bank, what happens? Returns are low. Okay, returns are average. There is no capital appreciation. Your 50,000 rupees, will not become 1 lakh rupees suddenly. Okay, so there is hardly any capital appreciation. There is no risk. Okay, because you know very clearly, you know how much you are going to get at the end of the time. Okay, just a minute. Marketability is high because today there is a scope to market your fixed bank deposits also. Okay, tax shield is very less, and convenience is very high. Any bank you walk in, if you want to invest your money into a fixed deposit, you can do so. So likewise, the same is for PPF. There is public provident fund, life insurance, real estate, and precious metals like gold and silver. So this is just a summary of all the investment avenues that we have discussed so far. Nothing to do with your syllabus. It is only for your convenience sake that I have put this particular slide. Clear? Okay. This is one thing that I would like to explain to you in detail. Right now, I think my class is about to end in a minute or so. What we'll do is we will re-log in. Okay, we will re-log in right now, and I'll just complete this particular part. Okay, so that we are done with the main part that I wanted to explain to you. Clear with it? So we'll stop the class here, and you can rejoin this particular class immediately. Okay. Now it is exactly 1:45. Okay, you can join the class at exactly 2 o'clock. We'll again start this particular class. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So 2 to 2:30 is what I will take, and we'll finish off this particular part. Clear?
So after that class, there'll be no other classes, right?
No, there will be no other class after this, because
Yes, sir.
all faculty are busy with your seniors Viva, which is happening online, and that's the reason turn by turn we have to move in there.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll stop the class here and see you in the next class exactly at 2. Okay, so in this particular class, I will just
Yes, sir.
there are 17 people who have attended. Just a minute, I will take the attendance.